I am Nayaswami Ananta. This is Nayaswami Maria. This is the Chennai Ananda branch in USA. We are honored to be here for a bigger satsang. Ananda is growing, the circle of joy is increasing, and we thought we would talk a little bit about the 50 years of Ananda and how Maria and I came, when we met Kriyananda ji, and how we ended up here all together around the world as one family in God, one family in Guru. So I was a young man in San Francisco in the 60s, and many great saints from India, Swami Sachitananda, Swami Muktananda, Swami Venkateshananda, many saints came to San Francisco. Swami Sachitananda was living in the US, teaching yoga. He had a center in San Francisco. I met him. I had read a book by Gandhi, Satyagraha, and I wanted to become a nonviolent yogi. And in the 60s in the US, that was a very good idea because we were not doing very well. And great saints came. And there was a radio show, and they would have satsang on the radio show. And one night, the speaker was Swami Kriyananda. And I thought, this is wonderful. He must be from India. His name is Swami Kriyananda. And I listened to him, and he didn't have an Indian lilt to his English. And I thought, that's very strange. I wonder what part of India Swami Kriyananda is from. And later on, I found that Swami Kriyananda was from the world. He was from Romania and India and US and everywhere. And I wanted to learn yoga postures, so I bought a little book this big. It said Yoga Postures for Self-Awareness. And I thought, that's the type of yoga I need to learn. And I was 18 years old, and so I took the Kriyananda book and I put it up in my room in my house. I lived in a little cabin in the forest, and I did yoga postures like the picture said. Black and white picture of Swami Kriyananda doing yoga postures with the affirmations. And so I learned yoga postures from Swami Kriyananda. And I received initiation from Master into Kriya Yoga through written lessons. And then I read another book by Swami Kriyananda, The Artist as a Channel. And I loved the book. And so I wrote to Swami Kriyananda and I said, this is a wonderful book. I understand much more about Yogananda's life because you describe what the life of a yogi should be like. And so he wrote back to me and said, why don't you come to visit Ananda Village? And I thought about that. It took me over 2 years to get here, but that's okay. I was 18 years old, so so by the time I got here, I was 21, 22 years old. So it took more years. And I met Kriyananda, and I could feel Yogananda's vibration in Kriyananda's presence. I could feel that I had read the autobiography, I had received Kriya, but I had never met someone who practiced Kriya Yoga. I've been doing Kriya for 4 years. There was no Ananda Sangha, no video. Dharmarajan wasn't fixing the Skype, so I had no way to know what was going on. And so I met Kriyananda, and I felt Yogananda. This is what Yogananda lives like. And Kriyananda was very forthcoming, very kind to us. He spoke very openly about what Yogananda did, how he lived, how he guided the disciples. And very softly, Kriyananda said, I will share with you everything that Yogananda taught me. And I thought, well, that's all the disciple wants. We want the Guru. And so Kriyananda expressed the Guru to us in teachings, in chanting, in his life. And we lived together and we served Ananda. And that was for 40 years until he left. And then the mission is that we have to share the Guru with each other, with our Chennai family, with our world family, because Yogananda has to act through instruments. That was Kriyananda's message, is the Guru has left the body, therefore the Guru is still with us, but we need to understand how the Guru is present, how the Guru is speaking to us, how the Guru is guiding us, and Kriyananda acted as that channel for from the day I met him, which was 1974, I think, until he passed away. And he remains, as you'll all know, the living connection to the Guru, and the Guru is living, and Sri Yukteswar is living, and Lahiri Mohashai, Babaji Krishna, Jesus Christ, Rajarsi Janakananda, Sister Gyanamata, all of our line and the disciples are living. And that's what Kriyananda did for us. He was very patient with us. We did not know I should speak for myself. I did not know very much. I was not wise or experienced. I had much to learn. I still have much to learn, but Kriyananda was very kind, like an older brother to me. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Do that. That was good. This is good. Could you do this? He would encourage us. Would you give the Sunday service? Would you teach the yoga postures, please? Would you build this with us? Would you fix my car? Yes, Swamiji, I will fix your car. So he was always kind and always not shrouding the light of the Guru in any way. He was always not there, in that he was not, it wasn't about his personality, it was just the Guru talking to us, saying, do Kriya this way, why don't we try this, what about this, just encouraging, supporting, never judging. We laughed because we were so raw, so young, so ignorant, and we had read some books on yoga. We thought we knew the Guru, and he lived with Yogananda. He lived with the Prem Avatar, and later on we went, oh, he never judged. So Maria, why don't you talk about how you met Swami and came?
I grew up in Los Angeles. Master spoke of Los Angeles as the Benares of the West. So, in a matter of speaking, a little part of India maybe. And I grew up in that vibration, although it wasn't mine at the time. We spent a lot of time at Lake Shrine, which is one of the places that Yogananda founded, the center of the work here. And but just did not recognize the vibration, what it was, but liked it, and wasn't didn't really awaken to these teachings until I read and was given the autobiography of a yogi. So that's when I was 21. And I came to Ananda at that time and was very surprised to realize that I had spent so much time in that vibration and didn't know it. But I don't think that's an uncommon story. We wake up when we wake up, and there it is. And so I came to Ananda when I was 21, and I came, actually, the first day I came here was Swamiji's birthday. I didn't know that, and I didn't know anything about Swami Kriyananda. And when I saw him, I recognized him as a very great soul, and that never changed. And he didn't say anything. It was his birthday party. Everyone was doing things for him, and he might have sang a song, I think, or it was just a handful of people. There couldn't have been more than 15 at the most, just a small group of people. I was looking at an old picture the other day. There's a lot of them online. You probably have access to them, and there's was a picture of Swamiji, I think in the late 70s. I came in 1976. And he was wearing pants, a sweater. It was probably cool here. And he's pictured, you just see the side of him. He's standing in a meadow, a green meadow with really tall pine trees. And there is nothing there. There's no indication of human activity. It's just the forest, the woods, the meadow. And when I saw this the other day, I looked at that photo and I thought, it was such a clear image to me of the blank canvas that Swamiji embraced when he founded Ananda. There was nothing here. It's hard to even for me to conceive, and I came 8 years after Ananda began. But there was nothing here. Even now, if you look at this as an aerial photo, we're out in the middle of nowhere. It's just trees as far as you can see and hills. And there was nothing there. And yet he intuited, in communion and attunement with his guru, with Yoganandaji, he intuited every step of the way what to do next. The roads were dirt roads. There was no water. There was no plumbing. There were no houses. Ananta and I lived in a teepee, a cloth canvas teepee for 5 years. And then I lived in a bread truck. You won't know what a bread truck is. It delivers bread. It's like the UPS truck or something. It's a delivery truck. It's just a box and a steering wheel. And I lived in that for a year and a half. I lived in a tent for 7 months, just out in the woods. Nothing here. It's hard to describe. And even when you look at the old photos, I look at them now and I think, as you might or many do, how could anyone want to live there? I mean, it's just so primitive. There's nothing. A ramshackle barn and old equipment and kids running around barefoot in tattered clothes. And I mean, there was nothing. And here's this image of Swamiji with nothing. And he tunes in to Master, and Ananda was born of that, born intuitively, born through that attunement. The power here is Master and Swamiji, and you feel it, and people feel it when they come. Whenever he, in his guidance of us, in his direction for us personally or the community, it was always an invitation. It was for us. It was never really, you should do this, or even this would be good for your spiritual growth. He said that once, but it was after we had said yes. So, it was always an invitation. It was always to join in his enthusiasm for the path, for discipleship, for being a channel for his guru's vision. And many times he would say, Master, he set the tone, he put it in the ether. And I know you'll hear that famous quote this week. I won't say it now, but when he talked about World Brotherhood colonies, and this is registered in the ether, it will happen. But even so, Swamiji said, that ray has come. It's a divine ray. It's a new dispensation for our times, for our reality, for the world in which we live in. He said it's going to happen anyway. But wouldn't it be nice if we could be the vehicle for that? And so there is always that choice for the individual. One of Ananda's principles is people are more important than things. Always that choice. Are you interested? Do you want to share in this? And he was so enthusiastic. He was so just charged with will and joy to do this for Yogananda. And it was a contagious energy, and it is a contagious energy. Look at this temple of light. I mean, where is this coming from? It's coming from Master. It's coming from Swamiji. And just this contagious invitation. And so when I came, it was, can you serve in the garden? Sure. What's needed? It was construction, the gardens, and publications. And so I helped with that project for the first 10 years I was at Ananda. After that, Swamiji asked us to serve in Sacramento. So we went to Sacramento, which is a nearby urban city. It's about an hour and a half from here, from Ananda Village. And we served there for 23 years. And then Swamiji said, would you like to... Well, he didn't say, would you like to come back? He said, would you consider coming back and reinvigorating the farm? We need to be in production. We need to grow food. We need to bring the young people into this. And being the age we were, we kind of, we weren't real sure. But we tried, and we went to, Swamiji had first asked us to check out land. We went to Oregon and checked out land. It wasn't happening. We came back and said, we don't want that land. It's not good for Ananda. And so we sort of thought that was the end of the project. And he just waited. He waited, and that's how he was. It wasn't, you have to do this. You need to do this. And he waited, and we waited, and I think about a year went by, and Ananta and I were talking about this, and we thought, well, Swamiji didn't get his land. He didn't get, we're not growing food. Do we need to pursue this? And so we put some more energy into it. We were going to buy property closer to Sacramento, up in Yuba City. And we were so close to almost getting something. And then he said, come back and reinvigorate it at the village. But it wasn't until we sat with it. And it was only at that point that I said, Swamiji, will this be good for us? He said, it'll be good for your spiritual growth. So all this to just say that the community, the lives of individuals here, of devotees, of disciples, it's always by invitation. And he would love, and he loves to see just that spark in the individual that says, I'll do it, I'll help, whatever it is. And that's what has made Ananda happen, what's made it manifest out of nothing. And the joy and the service of that has been one of very fulfilling seva. It's all been seva. There's never the thought of this is work that I have to do or this is hard work that I have to do. It's just been so much fun. It's been an adventure and fun from the beginning. So
I think one thing that Swami Kriyananda always gave to us was the understanding that our foremost job was the realization of the self, the attunement with the Guru, the practice of Kriya. Then, after that process, then we will found a community. Then we will share the teachings of Kriya with others. But it was never, I don't think that Swami Kriyananda had a blueprint for what we were going to build Ananda or what Ananda would manifest, as much as an attunement with the constant dialogue, inner dialogue with the Guru, and Yogananda guiding, yes, let's do that. Yes, let's do that. No, I don't want that. In other words, the Guru's presence was foremost in Kriyananda's mind at all times from the very beginning, when we sat around a little fire with Kriyananda and 20 of us, Jyotish and Devi and Jaya Helene and Sadhana Devi and 15 people that were there. The focus was the Guru first, self-realization first, Kriya as a means of self-realization first, and then we'll act in this world to the best benefit of the people on the planet. And I want to say one thing, too, is that from the very beginning of Ananda, when there was just 25 of us, 50 of us, and we were just in North San Juan, California, Kriyananda was in Chennai with your parents and those of you who would come, and he could hear the call of Master's disciple. I perceive potential saints waiting in India, waiting to be awakened. And he turned the tables on Yogananda coming here to get the saints, because Kriyananda could feel the disciples in Europe and Africa and India and around the world always. And it wasn't the time for us to go there. It was the time for him to go there. So Kriyananda would travel to India and come back to Ananda village and tell us, someday Guruji will send us to India. Someday Guruji will send the Chennai Sangha to Ananda village. We had to have a building first. we didn't have a building, so we had to be ready. And it wasn't with a sense of urgency, it was with a sense of attunement. When it is the time, the Guru will send us. When it is the moment and the place and the person, will send them. Just like with the farm, Swamiji knew that we should do the farm, therefore he sent us to the farm. If we were supposed to do something else when we went to Sacramento, he knew it was the time to do that. It was all in the time of a flower unfolding. You cannot speed up the process. You have to wait. And Kriyananda was very patient with all of us. And Master was very patient with all of them. Don't forget that at the end of Yogananda's life, Yogananda said, I'm going to take you to India, Kriyananda ji. And Kriyananda said, when am I going to India? And Master never answered the question. And it was to be later. Kriyananda went to India in 1959? Something like that. It was after Master passed. He didn't go in the body with Yogananda to India. So it's timing, it's patience, and when you wait, then Ananda has grown around the world, but we've only begun. This is nothing. Wait till, I think there are more people now learning meditation and yoga every week through Ananda worldwide than there ever have been in the 50 years of Ananda, because of the internet, Skype, classes in Ananda India, Ananda America, Ananda Mexico. So there are more people now learning Kriya Yoga and Hatha Yoga from the worldwide work of Ananda than there ever have been. And that was something that Swami Kriyananda was very happy about. At the end of his life, he would say to us, he'd say, Ananta, India is going to dwarf America. He was so happy because the Guru's work, the Guru's plan, the Guru's flower was opening. And that was his greatest joy, his only joy. He didn't have a Kriyananda plan, he had a Yogananda plan. And that's what works, is Kriyananda. So, should we have questions? Are there questions?
I had one, but you already answered.
Good.
Wow.
Good.
Good.
We can have Ananda Chennai, USA ask questions.
Anybody here have a question?
I have one question. See, sometimes we know that be patient, things will materialize, come through, but even though we make up our mind to be patient, halfway between mind oscillates and then we get stuck into that thing. So how do we remain calm and centered even, and carry through that one till it comes through?
If you can just repeat the question too.
So the question is, we have guidance, inspiration, that it's time to do something. We know that we need to be patient. The mind flips back and forth. Should I act? Should I not act? Is this the right thing? How do we know what is the right thing to do? I'll give one answer. Maria can help too. The guidance of the Guru is clear and powerful, but our desires, our attachments, our ego veil the truth and the Dharma. And so we get, as we're saying, Master called them thwarting cross currents of ego. We get oh, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't do this, maybe not that time. That would be hard. I don't want to do this. I would have to put out a lot of energy to do this. So we hesitate. So what Kriyananda would tell us was, keep checking in with the inspiration by calming the mind and practicing detachment so that you could honestly say, I have no preference. I don't care if I should do this or not do this, if this should happen or not happen. But then, with that complete non-attachment, try to feel in the heart what is the correct path of action and what is the timing for that action. And what Kriyananda would say is, try to meditate, be very, very calm, and then hold up the options at the point between the eyebrows and feel in the heart for the divine response. When you feel calm, joy, enthusiasm, calm enthusiasm, that's the Guru saying, yes, go. I want you to go now. Do it. And if there's restlessness, and Kriyananda said, if there's excitement, not calm excitement, but just excitement, shortness of breath, tension in the muscles, electric, oh boy, I get to do this. Then return to the calm state before you act. It is true that Kriyananda's, one of his aphorisms was, say yes to life. But he was able to say yes to the Guru and the Guru's life above all. And if there was personal desire or ulterior motives or material considerations or fame, fortune, whatever, he would let that pass away and go deeper into the Guru's guidance to find if it was time. And he asked us to do that also. So as Maria was saying, Swami would say, what would you think about going to Sacramento? And what we had to do was, Master, should we go to Sacramento? We'd visualize ourselves in Sacramento, which is the capital of California, and we could feel Master saying, yes, come, I want this. The Guru wants our freedom, so it was, this is freedom, this is joy, this is love. So we would go. Maria, do you want to?
When I was I had just come to Ananda. I wasn't even living here yet at the village, and I one day went to Swamiji. He was having, letting people come for, if they had questions, he'd give them interview. You could interview with Swamiji. And so I had, I was 21, but I had my concerns and my worries. It's all relative about this and that. And so I came to see him, and he was so sweet. He was new to me then. I didn't know him in this life. I hadn't spoken with him up until this point, and he was very friendly. It was very informal, and he just talked to me asked me different things about my life, getting to know me. And some time went by, and then we said goodbye. And I realized once I left that I hadn't asked him what I needed to ask him that was so important. This happened twice. And the second time, I thought, I'm going to be prepared for this. And I wrote down my questions on a piece of paper, and I put them in my pocket. And the whole interview went by, and again, I just forgot to ask anything. There was no problem. And it was his consciousness. There was just peace. There was objectivity. There was observance. And nothing was of more importance than that, of greater importance than that experience. So I think it's very helpful to remember when we have worries, when we have concerns, we're trying to figure something out, make something happen ourselves through the ego, that if we can get into that vibration, to just do a little bit of Hong Sa, to become again the observer, like Ananta said, I could do this, I could do that, it doesn't matter. I am the child of the Guru. I am the instrument of the Guru, and what he wants to do through me, let that be, let that flow, let that express, and just try to be in that consciousness of the Guru. If we can tap into that, then these problems are not an end in themselves. There's a solution that presents itself, or maybe they do cease to exist. So it's a simple truth. It's not always easy to do, but that's the consciousness we want to get into, is something bigger, something expanded, to be able to view through the eyes of the Guru the world in which we live.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah. Any question? Now it is your turn. We've broken the ice. So. Who will give a question? Shall I pick someone?
It's a tough Guru.
Watch out, Radhika. Yeah. Please, one question. Okay, Rajesh.
So when you said the priorities and these things that we have to do this, we have to do this.
Louder, Rajesh.
How do we handle the worries of what will happen in the future, in the longer rhythm? How do we handle that worry kind of thing?
How do we handle the worries of the...
The implications, the long-term results. I think that, I noticed that Kriyananda would address decisions that we were making as a family, what the implications were in the future. And those were a part of his considering a course of action. But I always felt that he was deriving the justification for what the Guru was indicating to him after the indication from the Guru was felt. I'll give you an example. We were going to create a city called Ananda Village. And there's a government agency, and we went to the government agency and we talked about it as a community, and we decided that we would try to be in California city. And then we went through the process, and it was a long process. It took a year, and Nayaswami Asha was our leader for that. We called her the mayor of Ananda. And so we went through the process, and the government board said no. Ananda cannot be a city. And Swami Kriyananda then said, that was a good decision, because although we were responsible for a spirit of world brotherhood, other religious organizations might be able to form a city, and they would not have that level of a cooperative spirit and a broader vision. So it was a good thing. And I thought, why did Master have us do that? And it accomplished something else, in that it gave the government officials a respect for Ananda, in that we knew the law, we knew how to go through the permit process, we could play on their field if we needed to, and if it was Master's will. And so ever after that, the government treated us differently. And that was the reason that Kriyananda had us do the exercise, or Master had us do the exercise through Kriyananda's guidance. So in one sense, it is important to look at the long-term effects, but those long-term effects will be felt in the vibration in the heart, in the Guru's guidance. That's part of the package of the Guru's guidance is true on all levels. Yogananda said Scripture is true on all levels. Also, Guru's guidance is true on all levels. And so you will, if you're acting in Dharma, the long-term results will be as beneficial as the short-term results. It doesn't mean that you disregard them totally for the short-term results, but know that the Guru is past, present, future, no more for me. The Guru is looking at truth, and so you will act in that accordance. But it is wise to consider. I remember Kriyananda talking about the growth of Ananda Village and the growth of the Sangha worldwide, and he knew that we would grow to Europe and Africa and India and the whole world. So we had to remain centered in Master's vibration at all times, and not veer off towards American culture more than the universal culture of mankind. So that he was conscious of things that would not occur for a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. He's only been gone for 1 decade and a half, so there'll be more things that he saw and that Master saw. And there were many things that Master saw that haven't come to fruition yet. but Master was looking forward to a time. But truth is one and eternal, so we rest in truth.
Okay. Enora Kelvia? Okay, Radhika. Just speak up, please. Sorry. Yeah, why don't you come closer?
If two people are having some kind of misunderstanding and you kind of get pulled into it because you want to help them both, and then instead of helping out, you probably end up doing worse. And then you start feeling guilty because you made the situation worse than better. So how do we resolve this? It's like you don't want to stay away from them because they want to help. But then when you offer the help, it kind of ends up doing the opposite of what you wanted. How do we
I can't hear it.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay.
So she's asking, when two people are not in harmony and there's disagreement and one person wants to help, you want to help the other person, but you can't get through to them, how can we put out the best energy to harmonize, to move things forward?
Can I add a little bit?
Yes.
She's saying that if there are two people arguing and you get brought in to help, and then it ends up backfiring, and so then there's even more trouble than before. Then what do? Because then they're asking you don't want to just stay away from them, but what you did to try to help has done the opposite.
Yeah.
So this is never a situation that has occurred to us. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
We read about it in a book, though. Maria, you want to take the first shot, or you want to take the second shot?
Well, I think when this happens, it's a collision of egos, and if it's amongst disciples, I think to a greater or lesser degree, we know that, which is to say that sometimes just a little bit of time, people see the light and realize they need to change their behavior. I think it's very helpful to hold it in prayer, and if it's not harmonious enough to pray together, then for those people to pray independently and really try to let go of their view enough that they can see the reality of the other individuals. Because when we can open up to another's reality, then there's an open door through which guidance can come. Maybe I should say this, maybe I should do that. But until we're really sensitive to another's reality, we're stuck in, I'm right, why don't they understand me? Or I'm trying to help, why don't they respond? Or, it's I. So I think prayer and relating to another's reality is very key and very helpful.
Relating to the level of their superconsciousness, not the level of the problem. Mm-hmm. The two of them are locked in at this level, at the ego. The guru is trying to lift them up. They don't want to be lifted up. They want to fight. You tried to stop the fight, so now they're mad at you. They want to fight with everyone. So what we want to do is we want to go into that superconscious level above the problem, where your sisters or brother's sister, whatever the situation is, but don't see them as other than you. See them as a part of the divine, currently locked in a low level of consciousness with anger and harsh words and whatever the situation is. And I've been there, because sometimes the minister comes in to help the two disciples, and then they both turn on the minister. And the poor Nayaswami is like, I don't even exist as a separate entity. What are you talking about, you two? So it's a case of coming in. So prayer, for sure, and prayer, holding them not as battling, not as engaged, but as beings of divine love, holding the soul above that level of problem. And trying sometimes, like as Maria said, keeping a little distance from the situation. Sometimes you're poking a hornet's nest, you're poking a bee's nest, and the more you poke, the worse it is. You're trying to pat, but it's not working. And so you pull back, and we would see Kriyananda do this. He would pull back, but his consciousness would go sending a vibration of harmony and calmness and love, forgiveness, holding those very strongly in your own self, not defending yourself, not proving to them how wrong they are and how right you are, but instead trying to be a beacon of light, a temple of light, if you will, sending that temple of light to brother and sister, to whatever two sisters, and lifting them up to that level of harmony, shanti, calmness, and vibrationally hoping to pull everyone up. And Kriyananda, of course, was just a master at this because his consciousness was so strong. That's why Maria went into his presence. She couldn't remember the problems. He was so solution-oriented that there are no problems when you're with Kriyananda Ji. And so there are no problems when you're there in that consciousness. And pray for them, hold them in blue light, hold them in the Christ consciousness, in Krishna consciousness, that they are expansive. And then just hope that they can come to that level. And I've seen it a number of times where the prayers just work and they come and say, why would I say, I'm so sorry, can please forgive me for saying an angry thing or a rude thing or a distressful thing. I've seen it many times. Be non-attached. If that doesn't happen, that's fine. Our job is to send light. Our job is to send peace. Our job is to channel the Guru's peace and pull them up to where they belong, which is not yelling at each other. That's not the solution. But we know that because we're not in it. We're not at that level. You'll do well. You'll do well.
Before we close, if you all could just come back for a second, just because not all of you got to see.
There's more here now.
Yeah.
So there's more of us.
No,
we have a big team.
Same.
Come all the way around. We had a live studio audience here as well. And so
All the gopis are here. All the gopas are here. Krishna's here.
make sure, hold on a sec. Make sure you're in the camera. I can't quite see.
Yay! There we are. I'm
Okay,
blocking
good,
people
good.
because I'm
All
in
right.
the front.
No.
Prasad,
Yeah.
Ashwini.
No. That's as long as you're beyond with this. Asmita's there. I just wondered if you all could, not everybody has to, but if you could say one thing that you did so far that you enjoyed. Make sure you speak up so they can hear. Agnel, oh my gosh, Prem, what happened? You just popped out of the ether. I turned my head and there you are. Wow, nice to see you. Okay.
Being in the presence of all the
Yeah,
acharyas.
tell them. Yeah, look into the camera there. Then they'll
Being
see.
in the presence of all the acharyas whom we were seeing only on TV.
General tour of
From
the
Jyotish
facility.
Devi in the morning to Ananta
Yeah. Wait, Sharmila, do you want to?
Being with Acharya ji is experiencing the great souls in that we are soaked in that divinity. It's a nice experience.
And Sharmila, do you want to explain what Asmita was referring to, that meeting?
Yeah, because morning.
Louder, yes.
Morning, like we were starting to come and see the place here. So the Rajan was taking us, some of us here. So it was getting late. It was getting late because some of us were not getting ready. So we were just waiting. And then, okay, it was getting delayed. And after some time, so finally we went. The first batch went, and then even when the second batch went, then we suddenly saw like Jyotiji and Deviji coming out, like so we were like very happy because we were not expecting them there around that time. So we just grabbed them, we just ran and grabbed them. They had already started the car, just we went and stopped the car. And so we were thanking the person whoever was delaying it. And so that was, and from then on we bumped into many of our lovely acharyas and we are having a great time.
And just say who was with them in the car.
Yeah, Dhyanaji.
Diana's here too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Bonnie, you were saying?
Yeah, we enjoyed the general tour of the facility, the Temple of Light. We went inside and had a very nice time. And then all the other places.
We just got our occupation permit for the Temple of Light yesterday. Signed off, it's ours. We're done. So, yeah.
It's a beautiful temple. It was really amazing, It's a huge place and which can accommodate more than 600 people. And we also got to go to Swamiji's home and meditate at his where his body is laid to rest. So it was really, and his home is so beautiful. So I wish all of you could have come. It would have been so lovely.
Big day.
Yes.
We are praying that all of you should make it.
Yes.
Because here the energy level is something which you should come and experience. Then only you realize that.
The new Temple of Light was really amazing. We are fortunate to be given before the inauguration itself to go and see all the things. Really amazing thing. And the Crystal Hermitage, Moksha Mandir, and Swami's house. Really, really amazing one. You should experience it. That's what I could say.
Happiness.
And Dharmaniji and Dharmarajanji are taking very good care of
Yay,
us.
good.
We
We are
have
pampered,
food and everything, blankets and
Good.
keep
Cabs.
us warm and
Pampered like small
we
children.
are really pampered like small children.
Lot of chocolates, lot of toffees.
Moving on.
Yeah, visiting Ananda village has been a dream come true. And it is amazing to be here, the energy levels, the acharyas and all that. I mean, it's a once in a life experience for
And do
me.
you want to mention what you did today at the Temple of Light?
Yeah, at the Temple of Light we did service.
Yeah.
Carrying chairs. And,
Yeah.
we were also part of setting up.
That was part of the building permit, that the chairs were arranged. So they had
We moved chairs at the Temple of Light, at the village lawn, at the Hansa Temple, at the community center. We are professional chair movers. That's what acharyas do.
And all the chairs are in the temple, and we had to fight just to get these chairs for Anantaji and Mariaji. Divakar?
This is only the beginning for Chennai. I'm sure all of you will be coming here with Masters and Swamiji's blessings. What we enjoyed, we are praying that all of you will also be here at some point.
That is a good prayer.
Yes.
Because we're all together in the Guru, no matter where the bodies are. We're all in this spirit. It's a great blessing to have this part of the family here, this part of the family on the screen.
Will they be coming back? I don't know.
He said, "Are you even coming back?"
I've been thinking about it.
Thinking about staying
We're
here.
having fun.
This is only the beginning of the week.
Rajesh, they have a Karma Yogi program the way you did in Pune. So
Yeah.
you can stay here up to a year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have to plan that.
Rajesh, did you say something else?
They're experiencing the Finding Happiness movie, I think.
Yeah, we
Yes.
found happiness.
We are now in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
It goes on and on into eternity.
Well, did you want to do a closing prayer?
Yes, let's do a closing prayer. Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
friend, beloved God,
friend, beloved God,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahir Moshai,
Lahiri Mahashai,
Swami Sri Yukteswarji,
Swami Sri Yukteswarji,
beloved Guru,
beloved Guru,
Paramahansa Yogananda Ji,
Paramahansa Yoganandaji,
saints of all religions,
saints of all religions,
we bow to you again and again.
we bow to you again and again.
We thank you for this satsang.
We thank you for this satsang.
We thank you for your infinite love.
We thank you for your infinite love.
Please be with us always.
Please be with us always.
Shine through us.
Shine through us.
Share thy joy through us.
Share thy joy through us.
We are your children.
We are your children.
Om.
Om
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Shanti.